Hi everyone. So today we're gonna talk about the difference between a master's thesis and a PhD thesis. So a PhD thesis and master thesis are similar in so many ways, but there are important differences between the two. The biggest one, and this varies from field to field, but ultimately is that PhD theses answer an original research question. They are generating new knowledge that can be published in peer-reviewed academic journals or areas, not always, but most of the time. A master's thesis is an extension of something that's already known. In terms of the nuts and bolts of a PhD thesis and a master thesis, I think one of the biggest differences is who actually looks at it and tells you, yes, you have got a PhD, or yes, you have got a master's degree. So for my master's thesis, it's more used as an internal document to say, yes, you have satisfied the criteria in this university for a master's qualification. This master's thesis didn't go outside the university, only the people who needed to look at it, and they looked at it, and they probably did once overread through and want what is big enough and boring enough to be considered master's amount of work. So there we go, and there's your degree. Congratulations. And that's pretty much where it ended. The PhD students that were doing the same project ended up with a lot more data, and the PhD was examined differently. One of the most obvious things about these two kinds of work is the thickness. Even though the thickness does sort of like show how much work is in there, what it doesn't show, and what is more important, is the depth of knowledge that each goes into. The master thesis, even though it's kind of 50 or 60 pages long, it's actually quite high level. You know, the introduction, the literature review doesn't really deeply go into the field. This is more of a record of the findings using known techniques, so it's like an extension project. A PhD thesis goes into incredible depth. It isn't just about the amount of information in there, it's about how deeply you go into a field to do a great job, a great deep dive into any sort of research field. No matter what the subject, you need volume. You need volume to discuss the ins and the outs and the benefits and the cons and where you went wrong and the things that you went right, and all of the bits information you can pull from a single graph. A single graph is great and transparent when you're writing up your thesis, to just dive deep into what that graph is telling you in every single way possible, and that is why the PhD thesis is so thick. It's not necessarily the amount of information, but how well that information is analyzed afterwards. So there we have the biggest differences between the PhD thesis and the master thesis. I'd love to know what you actually feel as the difference. You know, the length, all of sort of stuff, but how does your thesis work? You feel? I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments, and also I will see you in the next video.